Hello everyone, कैसे हैं आप सब? How many of you have seen ethics UPSC mains 2023 paper? My first question to you all is, how many of you were able to complete ethics paper? Why I am asking this question? It is because you have to write your ethics paper after 12 hours of writing. So very obviously, after writing your paper 3, GS paper 3, you are very tired, whether it is mentally or physically. Then the major challenge is to complete your ethics paper. And most importantly, the challenge is in completing your case studies. So hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss ethics case studies. Ethics case studies. We have already discussed theory portion. Let us see the basic overview of ethics paper. The paper is of 250 marks. Why I am doing this? I want you to be starting with very basic, so that every one of you are with me. Every one of you are with me. So GS paper 4 consists of 250 marks. We all know that. Is there any doubt regarding this? There are two parts, part A and part B. In part A, theory questions are asked, and the recent trend is that in question number 6, quotation based question were asked, but from last 3-4 years, in question number 3, quotation based questions are being asked. And in part B, 6 case studies are asked from question number 7 to question number 12. Is it clear? Now, what is the challenge? The paper is that case study is of 120 marks, and you have to complete your case studies. If we go by breakdown of time, you have to complete it in 90 minutes. So for per case study, you have around 14 to 15 minutes. Right? You have around 14 to 15 minutes. For 20 marker, you have 14 to 15 minutes. So within that, you have to complete your case study. So the time has lapsed, but you haven't started practicing your case studies till now, because the importance is huge. 120 marks. Half of your ethics paper comprises of case studies, and that holds a very significant portion. And what people used to do, they neglect this portion. But I must tell you that while going through a crash course program, while I was doing the crash course program, we have practiced numerous number of case studies, and I have told you that if you are able to solve all these questions given in live answer writing sessions, then you will be handling your case studies paper very well. And on the last day, every one of you were able to complete your case studies. So, and many of the students from mains program have been calling me that thank you so much sir for those practice sessions, that was really fruitful. And I must say that as compared to UPSC mains 2022 paper, this year's ethics case studies were on easier side. I must say that. And you also have noticed this trend. So तारीख पे तारीख मिलती रही माय लॉर्ड, लेकिन अभी तक इसने केस स्टडीज प्रैक्टिस करना शुरू नहीं किया. एंड इफ यू हैवंट स्टार्टेड येट, सो बाय दिस क्लास you have one opportunity to start practicing case studies, because this is one of the very practical cases. These are one of the very practical things that you have to do, and you have to act while you are beholding the position of IAS, IPS or any civil servant officer, right? Now, let us see the basic trend of ethics paper. See, from 2013 to 2023, in theory portion, what I am doing, we have to see, since the ethics paper is after GS paper 3, right? So the basic challenge is that UPSC has been gradually increasing the number of words, so that paper becomes very lengthy, and to comprehend that paper, to read that paper, and then to solve that is a major challenge. I wanted to show you with this trend that you see the number of words, 538 in 2014, 2015 506, but this number has been on the average side of around 300 words. But in theory portion, UPSC asked 589 words in 2022, and in 2023 it was around 380. That was also huge. This was so huge, but this is also on the higher side, 380 words, around 400 words in the theory portion. And if we see the case studies portion, what we see the trend? See, 1366 in 2013, and today if you will see that in 2022 it was around 2466 words, and now this year it is 1827 words. What it is saying, what this trend is saying? This trend is saying that paper trend is that number of words has been increasing very gradually. If we see by the graph, this is a case studies graph. You can very well see that from 2013, 2017 656 words, 19 781 words, 2022 2466, and 2023 1827 words. What it is showing that the number of words are increasing. So paper is becoming very lengthy, and if paper is becoming very lengthy, then you have the major challenge, because you have to write it after paper 3. You have written essay, you have written paper, next day you have written paper 1, GS paper 1 and paper 2, and the next day you have to write GS paper 3, and after that you have to write GS paper 4. So my concern is, and majority of students face this issue of completing the ethics paper. So for that, you have paper is very lengthy, very lengthy, and you have less time, so you have to practice. And from where you have to practice? I have told, and numerous time I have told in the crash course program, that you have to practice by previous year questions, my dear friend, because those are best replica of UPSC mains paper, right? So similarly, the trend in the theory portion we have already discussed. Since we are discussing today case studies, so we will be relying and focusing more on case studies paper. So now, what are the steps? In very short, I wanted to tell you that what are the steps while solving the case studies. This could change as per the demand of the question, but overall, if we see the trend, the UPSC paper has to follow some steps, and those are: first, you have to write the summary of whole case study in the introduction in 2 or 3 lines, and tell the examiner that what are those fundamental values that will be required by UPSC civil servant to solve particular case study. First step is, I have told you that you have to summarize the whole case study. You have to tell the examiner, sir, I have understood this case study and I know my values that are required by me to solve this particular issue, right? Is it clear? Now, the second step is you have to identify that protagonist. Nayak kaun hai? Protagonist, hero kaun hai? You are the hero. Then by knowing that position, you have to tell the examiner that I have understood my role, and by that role, what are the possibilities that I can do? Whether I have the power to take action, or else is it asked to me that I have to submit a report. I have to submit a report. So what is my role? That you have to identify. If you are a protagonist, if you are a nayak, if you are hero of that particular case study, then third point, what is expected from him? है ना? So we have already discussed that. Now next point is you have to identify the stakeholders. Who are these stakeholders who are directly or indirectly involved with that case studies? We will see in all these 6 case studies, we will see how to identify the stakeholders. But all those persons who are directly or indirectly involved with the case studies. Now next is, what are the ethical issues involved? So what are the issues involved? Which problems we are trying to solve? What is the ethical dilemma? What are those things in which you are caught up? What I have to do? कि मुझे क्या करना चाहिए? So those kind of ethical issues you have to identify. Then how you will able to control your mind and body and senses, and how you can be observant, how you will be solving that particular case study. That is the most important thing. Then you have to tell the options. What are the options available to you? And then you have to tell, if they have asked you that evaluate those options, then you have to tell those merits and demerits of given options. You have to tell merits and demerits, and then which option would you choose? That is, and you have to give the proper justification for that. You have to give proper justification for that, and then conclusion. Then conclusion. You have to give proper conclusion. You can also give the SDGs, or you can give some codes. You can give any kind of personalities, lines. So relevant to the context of the question, demand of the question. So you can always conclude like that. Now next portion is, सर आप जो बोल रहे हैं वो बहस के लिए, सुनने के लिए तो अच्छा है, लेकिन प्रैक्टिकल नहीं है सर आपने तो थ्योरी बता दिया. When we are going to start our case studies, have patience my dear friend, we will start our case studies. So guys, let's start practicing our case studies. We will not do like this. We will focus. We will be strictly focusing upon our case study portion, right? And then for maximum benefit of this particular class, what you have to do this, you have to see the question, you have to understand the question, but you have to pause the video and write the answers, because practicing is the key. You will hear all the explanation, but you will forget if you haven't practicing by your own self. So my concern is that you should practice by your own self first, then you analyze what mistakes you are doing, and then we will learn, relearn and improve, and then again relearn. So this is the process. You have to follow this process, right? So write answers within time frame. We have already discussed that. For one case study, you have only 14 to 15 minutes. So complete your case study in 14 to 15 minutes, and then see the explanation that I have explained, see the model answer that I am showing, and then what you will notice that lot of improvement will be seen. Will benefit like lost sessions, because we conduct in our classes live answer writing sessions, lost sessions. Those are very fruitful. And we have solved all the UPSC previous year questions by these lost sessions. So you have to utilize this video by practicing by practicing. So I wanted you to from you that you practice. That is the most important thing. So let's start with practicing case studies of UPSC mains 2023. We'll see question number 7. We will see question number 7. What the question says. Let us see. Sir and ma'am, you are working as an executive in a nationalized bank. Where? In a nationalized bank. Working as an executive for several years. One day, one of your close colleagues tells you that her father is suffering from heart disease and need surgery immediately to survive. And she also tells that she has no insurance and operation cost will be around 10 lakh. You are also aware of the fact that her husband is no more. She is from lower middle class family. So you are empathetic about her situation. Empathy means you want to do something for her. You are understanding her pain and emotions. However, apart from expressing your sympathy, you do not need have resource to fund her. But don't have resource, you don't have money, and money is a crucial aspect. If you have money, then you will be able to help her. But right now you are not having the resource to help her. Under these circumstances, a few weeks later, you ask her about the well-being of her parent, and she informs you about his successful surgery, that he is recovering. She then confides in you that bank manager, here comes another stakeholder, bank manager was kind enough to facilitate the release of 10 lakh from a dormant account. ऐसा खाता जो कि निष्क्रिय है, there is no activity in that particular account, dormant account of someone to pay for the operation with the promise that it should be confidential and be repaid at the earliest. She also has already started paying it back and will continue to do so until it is all returned. So the issue is that she had to keep it confidential, but she is already telling, and now she is expecting that particular bank manager that he will not tell this thing to anyone, right? Now, what are the ethical issues involved? Question is asking. Evaluate the behavior of bank manager from ethical point of view, and how would you react to this situation? Now, if I have to summarize this case study, so here is the bank manager and this particular employee, her colleague, कि पापा की सर्जरी में 10 लाख लगेंगे, and she is not having insurance, she is telling, but that bank manager is saying, that particular person, that executive is saying that मेरे पास sympathy के अलावा कुछ नहीं है. But after some days, she tells the bank executive that bank manager has funded rupees 10 lakh from a dormant account, and he has told her to keep this information confidential. So bank manager ने तो rule तोड़ा है. That particular bank dormant account has been kept, can be utilized for some other purpose, has to be utilized for some other purpose. But if you are utilizing for some purpose which are not desired, then you are breaking a rule. लेकिन dilemma is that account तो dormant है, पैसा तो पड़ा ही रहता. Under that circumstances, can I use this fund to help somebody's life, right? तो क्या उसने अच्छा किया कि उस पैसे से किसी की लाइफ बचा ली, लेकिन what is the issue? What is the ethical issue here? What are the ethical issues involved here? So first is whether to follow law, rules or regulation. This is the topic given in topic unit number 6. Laws, rules and regulations as a source of ethical guidance. Whether you have to follow law, rule or regulation, or whether you have to follow ethical value of saving someone's life is utmost priority for anybody. For anybody. This is a basic principle of humanism, right? So whether you have to follow law, rules and regulations, or you have to follow the ethical values. If you will go by rules, then you cannot use money from dormant account for saving someone's life. But you have some money lying idle, that is dormant, and meanwhile she is already repaying it back. Meanwhile you can use that fund to save someone's life, right? So this is first issue. Second is saving of life but at the cost of violation of rules, similar kind of things. And next, third is means versus end. Means versus end. Deontological versus teleological approach. Whether you will follow the means the right rules, or whether you will follow the end. End is whatever be the case, you can tweak the rule, you can tweak the means to achieve desired end. The end here is to save the life of particular person, and this is the basic principle of human life, basic principle of humanism, right? Now next is breach of trust, because she has been told that she had to keep that information confidential, but she is telling to a bank executive, and by this way she is putting bank manager in the problem. And now, so breach of trust and confidentiality is the problem, or so putting bank manager at the risk. And now, should you reveal or keep it confidential? That is dilemma of whether you have to keep that information confidential or whether you will reveal that. Next is misuse of power by manager by using dormant account without informing senior authorities. That is also issue, because that bank manager has not informed, not taken any permission from any of the superiors as well. And conflict of interest, both colleague and manager in the same bank, right? Now, because conflict of interest, because both colleague and manager are in the same bank, and you are using that dormant account for what purpose? Whether the purpose is for that desired purpose for which the dormant account is, or for the purpose other than that, which is not desired one, जो कि वांछनीय नहीं है. Now that is how we define the values, right? Now merits of particular instance that he has taken, right? Because since the account was dormant account, and it is one of the noble intention to save someone's life, that is most important thing. And here, for particular person, for particular bank manager, the most important thing here is end. End is very important here. What that end is, to save someone's life. So he has tweaked the rules or tweaked the process to save someone's life. And next is means. And here he has tweaked the means to achieve the desired result of end. And end is to save someone's life, to save life, right? This is one of the merits. And repayment of money is also there. She is already repaying that money, and within some time she will be able to repay it back, right? So this is how you have to evaluate this. This is how you have to evaluate the merits. And similarly, you have to tell that there are some demerits as well. And if you are choosing that particular, if you are in the favor of that particular option, then you have to tell the merits more than the demerits. You will tell the demerit that breaking of rules means against the deontological ethics. Deontological ethics of Kant. It is against that. If you are not following your means and you are tweaking the means, then you are setting the wrong precedent as well. In future also people will tweak the rules. Then what is the purpose of those rules? What is the purpose of those means? Right? Are you able to get that? So that is how you have to evaluate these options. Now, third portion is, although appears to be violation of rules, ethically correct, but it is ethically correct. Why? Because it was a government account and your basic purpose was to save life. Because you are also human and you will follow the principles of humanism. And advise the colleague to keep it confidential and may help if possible in the quick repayment. You try to help her for making a quick repayment. You can also end like this. So by this you are evaluating the option in the form of merits and demerits. I hope you understood the concept, right? So now you have to, now some of you are like this ki I understood the case study very well. Now feeling confident, give me second one. Give me, मैं मेरे को सब आता है, मैं expert हो गया हूं. Now let us see the next case studies, whether you are able to solve this case studies. This particular case study is from Uttarkashi, and now see, a landslide occurred in the middle of the night on 20th July 2023. In a remote mountain hamlet approximately 60 kilometers from Uttarkashi. The landslide was caused by torrential rains and has resulted in large-scale destruction of property and life. You, as a DM of that area, have rushed to the spot with a team of doctors, NGOs, media, and police, along with numerous support staff to oversee the rescue operations. The man came running to you with a request of urgent medical help. A person came up to you for urgent medical help for a pregnant wife who is in the labor and is losing the blood. Now, if she is not helped immediately, she could lose her life. And now you directed your medical team to examine his wife. They return and convey to you that woman needs blood transfusion immediately because blood loss is happening very fast. Upon you came to know that 2 blood collection bags and blood group test kits are available in the ambulance. Accompanying your team, people of your team have already volunteered to donate the blood. And in this scenario, being a physician, like you are DM and you have already been graduated from AIM, so you know the rules. That blood for transfusion needs to be procured only through the recognized blood bank. And if you try to procure that blood some locally, then it might happen that you are breaking some kind of rule, your medical ethics. Now in such kind of dilemma, your team members are divided on the issue. Some favor transfusion while some other oppose it. The doctors in the team are ready to facilitate the delivery, provided they are not penalized for the transfusion. They are not penalized for the transfusion. Now you are prioritizing the service. So what are the ethical issues in the case? And second would be, particular case में आप क्या करोगे? Now let us summarize this case study in a very short. And how we have to introduce the concept, we already know that. How we can introduce this concept, that we have to summarize the whole case study in 2 to 3 lines, and we have to tell the examiner the fundamental values that are foundational values that are required by you to solve that particular case study. That is very important. So let us summarize this case for you. Now some landslide happened, torrential rains are occurring, and a person came running up to you as a DM. You as a DM. A person came up to you that, sir, my wife is losing the blood very, very fast and she is pregnant. Please help her. Please help her. So you conveyed to your team that examine her. And the team told that woman need blood blood transfusion very immediately. But the rule says that transfusion need to be procured only through a recognized blood bank. But torrential rain is happening, and right now you do not have those kind of resources to go to some recognized blood bank. At that particular scenario, visualize this particular instant. In such kind of scenario, what will you do? Are you facing some kind of ethical dilemma, my dear friends? If you are, then you have understood this case. Now, what are the stakeholders here? The stakeholder would be DM, district magistrate. कौन होगा हितधारक यहाँ पर? You as a district magistrate. People where landslides happen. People who are already stuck in the landslide. And if you are diverting your focus to somewhere else, what will happen? Definitely, you are compromising the life of other person who are got stuck in the landslide. So at that particular scenario, what will you do? Life versus life. This is all. There are other persons who are already stuck in the landslide, and there is a lady, pregnant lady. She is already stuck, and she is losing her blood very fast. At those particular instances, what will you do? This is a prime ethical dilemma. Now the third is team of doctors, NGOs, media, police, and other staff members, and pregnant woman. But what are the ethical issues involved? First would be human life versus legal and regulatory compliance. The rule says, what does the rule says? That you have to procure the blood from any recognized blood bank, right? This is the particular rule. But meanwhile, there is a greater duty of yours that you have to save the life at any cost. And in that scenario, will you follow the rules, or whether you will follow your values to save someone's life? This is one of the ethical issues. Now second is medical ethics of blood transfusion must adhere to established medical protocol. Are you following your medical ethics? This is the question. And next is professional ethics as DM and as physician. Professional ethics as DM and as physician. As DM, what your roles are, and as physicians, what your roles are, and they are in conflict. So that you have to resolve. And relief of the affected people. Yes, because there are two particular scenarios are there. Some people are stuck in the landslide, and lady is also stuck, but she is losing the blood. She needs prioritization because her life is at the very immediate risk, that her blood is losing very fast. She has to be given those blood transfusion very immediately, right? So in that particular scenario, what will you do? This is the ethical issue. This is the ethical dilemma. Now next is duty ethics versus setting a bad precedent. Whether you will follow your duty or whether you will set a bad precedent. Otherwise, what will people do? In this particular scenario, what is happening? That you are a DM's doctor, but seeing you, there might happen that some particular DM comes in that particular area, but she or he does not have that particular kind of expertise, but you have right now that kind of particular expertise, because you have been named doctor, right? You were physician earlier as well. You know the rules, what and how the process has to be followed. But any other DM can come and he can see this particular issue as a precedent, right? So that kind of conflict is always there, right? And personal accountability versus saving the life. Now, whether you will follow your medical ethics or whether you will follow the rules, you comply to rules, really a very big issue. Now, in such scenario, what are the options evaluation? What are options available to you, and how will you evaluate on the basis of merits and demerits? So now you have to tell. You have to tell now. कि कैसे करोगे? Now you have to tell that how will you evaluate these options. The first option for you is that you are not allowing the blood transfusion. You are not allowing the blood transfusion. The merits will be that you are adhering to the established medical and legal protocols. You are adhering to those rules of medical ethics. And second would be you are maintaining integrity of blood transfusion procedure. What is that integrity? When nobody is seeing, then also you are following your duty, your constitutional duty. We have seen those Nolan Committee's definition, right? Now, the second would be, what are the demerits? First is patient life at immediate risk. Patient's life is at immediate risk. And second would be, may result in severe health consequences for patients and unborn child, because that particular lady will not get that blood and she is needing that blood very, very immediately. Now, next would be, you may face the moral crisis, the crisis of conscience, that I should do this, but I'm not doing that. So, disagreement with team which can hamper further rescue operations. Now, the option number 2 would be allowing blood transfusion without penalizing doctors. So merits would be addresses the immediate medical need and potentially save the patient's life. Because you are not penalizing doctor and demonstrate the compassion, and by that you are trying to help, going beyond those rules to help somebody's life is coming under the value of compassion and prioritizes the patient's well-being, aligned with professional training. But demerit would be, it may violate the established medical and legal protocol and may lead to ethical and legal repercussions for DM and its medical team. And next would be option 3. And it also demerit would be that it raises the question about professional ethics and potential conflict of interest. And the next is option number 3. Allow the blood transfusion with family consent through available resource with written stance on issue from doctors and team and members, and allowing donations who has reported clean medical history in the recent past and refer the patient immediately and in an ambulance to the nearby hospital with blood bank facility. This is the best way out. That you are even in the immediate aspect, what you are doing, you are allowing donation who has reported clean medical history. जब clean medical history है तो कोई दिक्कत ही नहीं है. And now you are using your medical expertise for helping for saving the life of that particular lady. The merits would be, what would be the merits? It will address the immediate medical need while mitigating potential health risk related to the blood donation. Perfect. Second would be demonstrate a commitment to saving lives and upholding ethical standards. Perfect. And third would be minimizes the legal and ethical concerns by transferring the patient to a facility with proper resources. And next would be informed consent ensure that family is aware of risk and their agreement make the decision legally and ethically. If you are taking the consent of those family members, then you know you are intimating the particular demerits or merits that is going to happen with that particular option. You are already telling them, so they are already prepared. If mishappening has happened, then they have already informed you about that, and they have taken all proper consent from you, and then you have to tell that demerit. So that it may require additional time to identify suitable donor and involve the complexity of ensuring that donor meet necessary medical criteria, right? So it may require additional time to identify suitable donor, because in that particular scenario, what you are doing, you are trying to identify those particular donors, right? Those who have clean medical history, right? And now let us see. So by this, you have evaluated all those options and you know that the third option is the best one, and then you conclude with good lines. Now let us see question number 9. Question number 9. What this question says: at 9 p.m. on Saturday evening, Rashika, a joint secretary, was still engrossed in her work in her office. Her husband, Vikram, is an executive in an MNC and frequently out of town in the connection with his work. Their two children aged 5 and 3 are looked after their domestic helper. At 9:30 p.m., her superior, Mr. Suresh, calls her and asks her to prepare a detailed note on an important matter to be discussed in a meeting in the ministry. She realizes that she will have to work on Sunday to finish the additional task given by her superior. Now, what is happening? She reflects on how she had looking forward to this posting and had worked long hours for months to achieve it. So what Rashika is facing? Oh, she is already very overburdened by the work, and Mr. Suresh calls her and asks her to prepare a detailed note on an important matter to be discussed in a meeting in the ministry. She realizes that she will have the work on Sunday to finish the additional task. She is very, very overburdened in the work. She is not able to look after her children's, and her husband is already out of town. And now she reflects on how she had looking forward to this posting and had worked long hours for months to achieve it. She had kept the welfare of the people uppermost in discharging her duties. She had kept the welfare of the people. She is of the very, very, very upright lady, right? And she feels that she has not done enough to justice to her family. And by doing her professional duty, she has compromised on her personal duty. Now she feels that she has not done enough and she has not fulfilled her duties in discharging essential social obligations. Even as recently as last month, she had to leave her sick child. Now what is happening here? She is in pain that when the children required the motherly care, then she has to keep her child in the nanny's care as she had to work in the office. Now she feels that she must draw a line beyond which her personal life should take precedence over her professional responsibility. She now feeling and contemplating that she had to balance her personal as well as professional life. Personal as well as professional life. Now she thinks that there should be a reasonable limit to the work ethics, such as punctuality, hard work, dedication to duty, and selfless service. There should be a reasonable limits. So discuss the ethical issues involved. Briefly describe at least 4 laws that have been enacted by the government with respect to providing healthy, safe, and equitable work environment for the women. Equitable work environment for the women. Now next point is, imagine you are in similar situation. What suggestions would you make to mitigate such working condition? Now pause the video, practice, complete in 14 minutes, and then analyze from the explanation. That would be the best way to practice. We already know that. So let us start practicing. Now I hope you have written this answer. Now let us see what are the stakeholders involved here. The first is Rashika herself, that as a joint secretary, Vikram her husband, Rashika's children, domestic helper, and Mr. Suresh, superior of Rashika, right? What are the options available? What are the ethical issues? Question was, what are ethical issues involved in the case? So the first is personal as well as personal versus professional responsibility, which has to be given more importance, and she has already prioritized her professional responsibility over her personal duty, right? She has prioritized her professional duty, and she was in the dilemma whether there should be a line, there should be a balance between both of those, right? And there should be work life balance, कार्य जीवन में संतुलन होना चाहिए. And then work culture issue, socialization, समाजीकरण and care of children, mental health issue, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य, gender justice, लैंगिक न्याय, and biases toward women's role in the society, and children's responsibility and household responsibilities lies with women. Now UPSC has asked about the laws. So there are 4 to 5 laws. That is, first is Maternity Benefit Act of 2017, POSH Act, Prevention of Sexual Harassment Act, Factories Act, and Equal Remuneration Act of 1976, Minimum Wages Act of 1948. You have to talk about all these laws. And next is improve work culture, emotional intelligence and empathy, and improve resource allocation. What are the steps you have to take? So improve work culture, emotional intelligence and empathy, and improve resource allocation. Next would be communicate boundaries with the male counterparts to take responsibility for household work, as her husband is outside the town most of the time, and family when women engage in the priority task. That you have to convey clearly. Even you have to convey to your bosses as well that she is already overburdened, and she has to draw some line that beyond that she has to take care of her parents. She is already a parent and she has to take care of her child as well. So workload management need to be there through the clear communication and prioritizing tasks to prevent undue stress and overburdening. So many of you will be like, sir, this was really easy, sir. ये तो शुरू होते ही खत्म हो गया. Yes, some case studies are like that, because here in this particular case study they have not asked about option evaluation. They have not asked about like which option would you choose and justification for that. That's why in the very beginning I told you that many of the case studies, they will not follow the due process. You have to answer according to demand of the question, right? So that is what very important, and that is how you will be able to complete the paper. Now next is question number 10 is about Vinod, and the Vinod is an honest and sincere IAS officer. Recently he has taken over as a managing director of the State Board Transport Corporation, his 6th transfer in the past 3 years. His peers acknowledge his vast knowledge, affability, and uprightness. The chairman the chairman of the State Road Transport Corporation is a powerful politician and is very close to the chief minister. Vinod comes to know about many alleged irregularities of the corporation and high-handedness of the chairman of the financial matter. The board members of the corporation belonging to the opposition party meets Vinod. Now, a member from the corporation, he belongs from the opposition party, he comes up to the Vinod and hands over a few documents along with a video recording in which chairman appears to demanding a bribe for placing a huge orders for the supply of QMR tires. Vinod recollects the chairman expediting clearing of pending bills of QMR tires. Now, Vinod confronts the board member as to why he is shying away from exposing the chairman with so-called solid proof he has with him. The member informs him that the chairman refuses to yield to his threats. He adds that Vinod may earn recognition and public support if he himself exposes to the chairman. So he is alluring the Vinod that do this, you will get those promotion. And further, he tells Vinod that once the party comes into the power, Vinod's professional growth would be assured. Right? So this is the issue. Now the Vinod is aware because he's already know. He in the beginning also case study has cleared that he's a very knowledgeable person. People think about him. Now he may be penalized if he exposes the chairman, may further be transferred to the distant place. He knows that opposition party stands a better chance of coming to the power forthcoming elections. However, he also realizes that board member is trying to use him for his own political gain. So they know that Vinod know that this political party member is using him for his own political gains. So this is the issue. So now you, in this light, you have to, as a conscientious civil servant, evaluate the option available to the Vinod, and in the light of above issue, comment upon ethical issues and that may arise due to the politicization of bureaucracy. So let us summarize the whole case study. Summarize the case study for you. Now Vinod is very serious and very sincere IAS officer, and Vinod finds some irregularities happening in the transport corporation. Board members from opposition political party come up to Vinod and give some video where chairperson is seen as a demanding bribe and tells Vinod that he can use this for his own professional gains, professional promotions. But Vinod knows that I might be penalized if I expose chairperson and may further be transferred to a distant place. In such scenario, what are the options available? First option would be stay silent. Stay silent. Merit would be avoid immediate confrontation and repercussions. Demerit would be compromise integrity and professional duty and perpetuate corruption. Right? Now second would be whistleblow. You directly whistleblow, but it will expose the alleged corruption. Align with the public interest duty. Because ultimately what you are doing, you are serving the purpose of public and you have went there as well, but it will put your career at the risk and potential transfer and purity measure. It will set a bad precedent. And now taking up the issue internally, if you are going to take issue internally, that could be a better option, but it will resolve issue internally and maintain the protocol, but there is a risk of matter being brushed under the carpet due to influence. We already know that some politician is already involved and they are very connected with that politician, chief minister, and now hand over the evidence to the neutral body. By this you will ensure the investigations and go proper and any kind of repression is sided over. But the demerit would be, it will compromise integrity and professional duty and perpetuate corruption. It will perpetuate corruption. But next would be whether you will resign from the post. So it will demonstrate disapproval. It will demonstrate the disapproval and it takes moral high ground. But demerit would be, it may be seen as avoiding the problem, escapist tendency. That is you are evading from your own duties. That is escapist tendency, detrimental to the career as well. Detrimental to the career as well. Now, next question was, what is the next question? Next question was, in the light of above case, comment upon ethical issues involved. Now, first was evaluate the options available. So you have evaluated the option and they have not asked which option will you choose. So evaluate as many options you can. Now, question is comment upon ethical issues. And now you have to tell all those ethical issues that are involved. That is, first would be trust deficit between political and permanent executive. There is trust gap. Second is erode civil services values, honesty, integrity, etc. It will affect the morale and developmental process. Yes. And fourth would be perpetuate bias and corruption. Perpetuate bias and corruption. These are 4 options, my dear friends. These are 4 options. Now let us see. So student, after solving this case study, they are feeling like tum bahut mast kaam karta. So now let us see next question. Question number 11. You have just been appointed as additional director general of Central Public Work Department. The chief architect of your division, who is to retire in 6 months, is passionately working on a very important project. He is working on a very, very important project, the successful completion of which would earn him a lasting reputation for the rest of his life. So he is a very senior person and he is working very passionately over some project, and he knows that if he would complete this project, what will happen, that it would earn him a lasting reputation for the rest of his life. A new lady architect, Seema, trained at a Manchester School of Architecture, UK, joined as a senior architect in your division. During the briefing about the project, Seema made some suggestions which would not only add value to the project but would also reduce completion time. So now this one young lady came and she started giving suggestions, and that has led to the chief architect insecure, and he is constantly worried that all credit will go to her. Subsequently, he adopted the passive and aggressive behavior towards her and has become disrespectful to her. Now this is what case study is indicating, that he has he had left no chance of humiliating her. He would very often correct her in front of her colleague and raises his voice while speaking to her. This is continuous harassment. This is a very key word. That is, continuous harassment has resulted in her losing confidence and self-esteem. Now that particular person, that senior person, is constantly harassing this young lady. So the work culture has become toxic in a way. Now she appeared in the awe of him since he has taken long tenure in the office and has vast experience in the area of her work. Now in such scenario, you are aware of her outstanding academic credentials and career record in her previous organization. However, you fear that this harassment may result in compromising her much needed contribution in this important project and may adversely impact her emotional well-being. You may also come to know her from her peers that she is contemplating tendering her resignation. So in such scenario, what are the ethical issues involved in the above case? Question number 1. Now Second question is, what are the options available to you in order to complete the project? As well as this question here, many of the students, they diverted from the question. They read this, what are the options available to you? So they told all the options available, resign and all those things, but the question was not that. In order to complete the project as well as retain SEMA in the organization, these two conditions has to be met, right? Now next is, what would be your response to the SEMA's predicament? What measures would you institute to prevent such occurrences from happening in your organization? My dear friends, take your time and attempt this question. Attempt this question. I hope you have attempted this. Now let us see. This is one of the chief architect, and here SEMA, a senior architect. So chief architect is passionately working in the project, or SEMA, a senior architect, she has started giving valuable suggestions. So now this particular person has started becoming insecure from SEMA, and कहीं SEMA कहीं सारा श्रेय ना लेके चली जाए, and that kind of insecurity is happening with such a senior person. And here what is the problem? You will tell, you have already studied ethics, then you will tell कि यहाँ पर problem क्या है इस particular person, senior person के साथ में. Yes, very true, that this particular person is lacking the quality of emotional intelligence. Now, what are the stakeholders involved? First is you yourself, second is chief engineer, SEMA and other staff, third is general public and government. Now, issues involved are, first is harassment of SEMA, because this was indicated by case study as well. Second is dilemma to act against the chief engineer versus completion of the project. This is one of the dilemma, कि whether you have to act against the chief engineer or whether you will be focusing upon the completion of project the way it is going. So the issue is that. Or third is congenial work culture and environment, because work culture is getting toxic because some particular senior is harassing a young lady that is new joining in the organization. And next is sense of insecurity in the senior, high performing employee, lack of emotional intelligence, and next is lack of encouragement to the talented newcomer. Now what are the options available to you? In order to complete the project as well as retain SEMA in the organization, this is very important line in the question. So the option available to you are, have a discussion with SEMA personally, और उनको बताओ that management is aware of her capability, whatever the capability she is having. We already know that you are having a very great capabilities, but in the same time that not able to things happening seriously, and tell her that she should not take those things very seriously that is happening in the organization, because the chief architect, that senior architect, will retire in the 6 months. You do not have to worry, and things happen, but he has worked very passionately and working very passionately in that particular organization, in that particular project. So we have to give him that particular respect. This could be one of the options. Second is making like you are communicating with SEMA to understand the scenario. And now you will talk to senior and will tell him that his action is deteriorating the work culture. And being a senior, he will definitely understand that it is having a wrong repercussion on the organization as well. Now have a discussion with SEMA personally, as well as have an open communication with the SEMA and the chief architect, appreciating and recognizing his contribution to the department and project. Very true. And at the same time also hinting the chief architect that he has to mend his present attitude, as it may not be appreciated and can also be seen as a sexual harassment. Now, third question was awareness about like what actions will you take. So you will aware those particular stakeholders from like about policies and laws on sexual harassment, because such kind of cases may lead to the sexual harassment as well. And second is training plus knowledge sharing program is very, very important. And third is efficient grievance redressal mechanism. Efficient grievance redressal mechanism should be there. And next is open communication between seniors and juniors. There should be knowledge sharing programs, yes, so that more confidence building measures would be there, and juniors will learn from the seniors and seniors will learn from the juniors. Seniors will guide juniors. So these kind of environment, these cordial behavior make the work culture more and more healthy, right? More and more efficient, right? So ultimately that organization should get benefit, right? That should be the focus. Now, sense of recognition and appreciation toward the seniors for their long contribution. So you can very well do that. Now let us see that particular thing. Question number 12. We have to see question number 12. Last question. Now question number 12 is, you hold a responsible position in the ministry, in the government. One day in the morning, you received a call from the school of your 11-year-old son that you are required to come and meet the principal. You are required to come and meet the principal. You proceed to the school and finds your son in the principal's office. Your son is in the principal's office. At that time, you're already fearing what has happened. Now the principal informs you that your son had been found wandering aimlessly in the ground during the time classes were in the progress. कि आपका बच्चा गुम सा रहता है, मतलब खोया सा रहता है. Now the class teacher further informs you that son has lately become a loner, अकेला रहता है, and did not respond to the questions in the class. He had been unable to perform well in the football trials held recently. Now you bring your son back from the schools, and in the evening you along with your wife try to find out the reasons for your son's changed behavior. After repeated cajoling, your son shares that some children had been making fun of him in the class as well as in the WhatsApp group of the students by calling him stunted, do and frog. He tells you the names of the few children who are the main culprits, but pleads with you to let the matter rest. And after a few days, during a sporting event where you and your wife gone to watch your sons play, one of your colleagues' son shows you a video in which students have caricatured your son. That means further he has also points out that the perpetrators who were sitting in the stands, he shows everyone that those are perpetrators, and your son has, that video has morphed and your son has been shown doing some kind of activity that is not suited to him. Now you purposefully walk past with your son and go home. Even your wife stating that you engage in the physical bullying of your children on the sport field. The video became viral on the social media. Now, next day you find on social media a video of you and your son and even your wife stating that you engaged in the physical bullying of the children on the sport field. Now you are also involved in that particular case. Now this is the power of social media, my dear friends, that if you are physically present anywhere, then they can morph your video to do, like, they can show you doing any kind of illegal activity. That is why, and with the changing scenario, with the use of artificial intelligence and some like machine learning programs, so we are seeing that people are molding morphing that particular artificial face recognition technique, FRT techniques. So all these techniques, they are modulating the voices. This social media can have repercussions as well. We all know that. So that is how this whole family is facing right now the negative impacts of social media. Now the video became viral on social media, and you and your friends and colleagues began calling you to find out the details. One of your juniors advised you to make a counter video giving the background and explaining that nothing had happened in the field. Right? Now everybody is saying that make a counter video and tell in that video that nothing has happened, nothing sort of things has happened in the field. And you in a turn posted a video which you have captured during the sporting event, identifying the likely perpetrators who were responsible for your son's predicaments. You have also narrated what has actually happened in the field and made attempts to bring out adverse effects of misuse of social media. Now, based on the above case study, discuss the ethical issues involved in the use of social media and discuss the pros and cons of using social media. So, ethical issues बताने हैं और उसके बाद बताना है pros and cons of social media by you to put across the fact the counter fake propaganda against your family. Now, the next is somebody says to me that love hurts the most, but what hurts the most is कभी केस स्टडी का एक क्वेश्चन छूटा है एग्जाम में, it pains, it hurts a lot. That's why I keep on saying that keep on practicing case studies, keep on practicing, because the overall importance of case study is huge. 120 marks, and people keep on reading, keep on doing the theory portions, but at the end they do not practice case studies, and what happens? This holds a huge importance. So please keep on practicing case study. So take a pause and try to solve the case study and come back and we will see. I hope you have written your answer within 14 minutes. Now let us see how we can approach this case. Now, seeing the stakeholder. So first is me as a father and responsible government servant. Me as a father, my son, victim of bullying and harassment. Why they are stakeholders? In this part, I have tried to make you understand that why they are stakeholders, right? So, me as a father and responsible government servant. Now, second is my son, victim of bullying and harassment. Third is my wife as a primary caregiver. And fourth, other children as a perpetrators. Now, fifth is their parents by not providing attention to their children and misconduct. Question sixth will be school administration, negligence and not providing value-based education. They have not provided those value-based education. And next would be social media, that is for creating a spiral of hate and cyberbullying. Now, what are the ethical issues involved in the case social media? First is fake news, very, very obvious, fake news and the defamation, because whole person is having some kind of responsibility, कुछ ओहदा है उसका, and within a fraction of time you have defamed that particular personality, that particular whole personality, you have defamed that through the use of social media. Now, second is privacy and consent, because posting video on social media without taking the consent from particular person, you have made the video and you are posting on the social media. So that is one of the issues. And authenticity versus free speech. You are morphing the video and in the name of your free speech कि मैं तो कुछ भी कर सकता हूं, this is a part of your expression, freedom of expression. Now this is another issue, right? You cannot do anything that you like. अपने मन पे काबू करो बंधु. Now let us digital empathy, the empathy you show in the physical world, similar kind of empathy you have to show while you are dealing with the persons digitally, right? Isn't it? When you see the person digitally, then also you have to show that kind of empathy. And that is the whole crux, the whole philosophy behind apathy, sympathy, empathy, compassion, that concept, the series of concepts that we have learned in the class, right? So whether it is a physical world or whether it is a digital world, you have to show that kind of values that are seen from the rightness and wrongness, becomes at the individual level becomes morals, at the societal level becomes ethics. We have seen all those things. Erosion of value system in education and wheel of anonymity on the internet. Like, since the person is not visible, so it does not mean that you can do anything that you like, right? Now the B part would be pros and cons of using social media by you to put across the facts to counter the fake propaganda against your families. Now, what are the pros and cons of the social media by you? Now you have put in the counter video. So what are the pros and cons of that? You have to evaluate those. The first pros will be right to respond against the fake news. If something fake news has happened, and in the social media world we know that if you haven't given your substance, your side of story, then what happens that the other side overpowers, and people start guessing that you have done something wrong. That's why you are not putting video in the counter. So when dealing in the social media, it becomes quite important that you put your side of story in the social world, the social media world, so that people should understand your side of the story, right? So this is very important. Second is responsible position in the ministry, and hence it is imperative that the post that. Yes, very, very obvious. Why? Because you are holding the responsible position in the ministry, and it could cost your career as well. So that in that particular scenario, whether you are doing justice to that particular job, and because you are that particular person, because you are holding that particular position, right? Now third would be responsibility to protect your son and family. Being a parent, it is your responsibility to protect your family, and now your child is facing that particular trauma in which he has started keeping himself aloof, alone. It could be a very severe sign. We all know that. Sorry, let me grab a sip of water. Okay. Now transparency, and whatever is happening, you have, like social media, the advantage is transparency. What has happened? Now you are putting it with openness. Now next would be sharing my side of story can get me support. Yes, because everybody is thinking me that I had done something wrong. So there should be some kind of story, because that particular video by the perpetrators have already reached to the wide number of people. Now if you have made some video in return, that will counteract the effect. Now the cons would be endless propaganda and further trolling. Yes, this will never end, because in the social media you will put something, other person will put something else, and then it will go on and go on. Second is post is directed against the adolescent kid. Now this is also one of the issues, because adolescent kids, they do not know that they should be treated well. They should be made understood the positives and negatives of social media, isn't it? They do not know. They have found some kind of technology and they started using it, because they are not trained. They have not made understood those concepts regarding social media, that this could hampers somebody image. Maybe you are creating this particular video for something like for your fun, but this may defame some other person. This may trash the image of some particular person, and in counteract, it could also hamper your family mental health issues. Now let us see. Now I can attract undue attention toward the issue. Yes, emotionally aggravating for the family. and the family for those kids as well. Mental health issues. And legally also civil services conduct rule prohibit direct media engagement, and so legally also this is against your conduct rules, that you will, it prohibits you from the direct media engagements. So you have to try some other options as well. So by this we have done all aspect of complete case studies. That is why I keep on saying that maximum of the questions have directly come from the live answer writing session that we have conducted in the class. So that's why I keep on saying that focus more on case studies, my dear friends, because case studies are very important, very important. They hold the half of the importance, but students keep on neglecting this particular aspect of the ethics paper. So my urge from all, my request from all of you is that keep practicing case studies, because this is one of the most easiest way to grab maximum of the marks, and this is very highly scoring. We have seen the examples from Vishakha Yadav, we have seen the example from Divya Mishra, Satyam Gandhi, and many more, that they have focused, how they have focused more. Even the Shubham Kumar, see his first ethics copy, and in which he was selected and became IRS, and in another attempt's copy, in next attempt he has focused more on case studies, and that is how he has become IAS officer, by improving upon those particular aspects which are very crucial. And that's why I keep on saying that practice on this aspect, you will definitely get good marks. So by this, let me conclude my class, and thank you for your attention and patient hearing. Thank you so much. And if you have stick to this time, so definitely you are a very sincere candidate and you have practiced well, and definitely my best wishes with you all. So thank you everyone. We will definitely meet with the next session of ethics. So thank you so much.